being here. I think this is going to be a very fun
Introduce
workshop.
yourselves for Facebook.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Gil Rodriguez from New City Chiropractic Center.
And I'm Dr. Mike Costolovo from New City Chiropractic Center. We want to thank you for joining us. We're having a workshop tonight on how to better understand and use a foam roller. So if you don't use a foam roller now, it's probably one of the most important things you can have in your arsenal for treating your back problems. It's inexpensive, it's easy to use, and it's fun. So we're going to show you and demonstrate some of those things with you now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's such an easy and inexpensive piece of equipment to have around that it gives you so many health benefits. I mean, one of the things that it's good for is that it helps to increase flexibility. It helps to massage your muscles. You can massage yourself at home with a foam roller. You don't have to wait to come in to see us to do that. The other thing is it helps to improve blood flow. You start to circulate it a little bit better. One of the things that's really important is that it's a myofascial or a fascial massager, which means that it's stretching and lengthening this fibrous thin layer that's underneath your skin, that surrounds all your muscles, that surrounds all your organs, and that can tighten up and give those postural problems.
When you clean a chicken at home, chicken breast, right? I know you clean chicken. You know that thin layer of film that's on that little thin layer that's on the top that you kind of take off? That's the myofascial sheath. So that's in every muscle, every animal has it. Even you have them, Grady. So that can get very fibrous, it can get very tense, it can get very stiff. And when that happens, it doesn't allow the muscles to really expand. So really the beauty of a foam roller is that you're breaking up those adhesions, those tight particles that are in that myofascial sheath that now allow the muscle to really stretch. So after you use a foam roller, you should feel a lot more flexible, a lot more loose, because now the muscle is able to expand a lot faster, a lot further than it was before doing it.
Right. And foam rolling was actually invented by Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais, who was an engineer who then started getting into functional movement, into a form of treatment. He was not in the medical field, but he actually developed this technique, and he used a lot of foam rollers, he used a lot of myofascial release balls, and all these different tools to help improve movement.
Was he a physical therapist?
No, but Sean
I
Gallagher.
was going to shout out to my daughter Katie, because she was like, "Dad, you're not supposed to be doing the foam rolling class tonight. That should be done by a physical therapist."
By a physical therapist.
Sorry, Katie, we're doing it anyway.
But it was actually popularized by a physical therapist, Sean Gallagher, in the 80s. He's introduced it to the dancing community, he introduced it to the weightlifting community, and he was a Feldenkrais student. He learned under Dr. Feldenkrais. And he's the one that really made it popular in the early 80s. Now, if you Google search or Amazon search foam roller, you get like 1,000 results from all different companies that come in, so it's pretty mainstream now. Again, this helps to self-massage, self-relax with a very cheap piece of equipment. Don'ts for foam rolling. So I want to start off with things that you have to be careful about.
Pay attention.
Okay?
Don'ts.
So if you bruise easily, you don't want to be using a foam roller. If you are on blood thinners, you don't want to be foam rolling. Common sense things, if the skin is irritated or infected, you don't want to be foam rolling. If you have very brittle bones or issues with any kind of bone disease, you don't want to be foam rolling. Again, very common sense things. You also don't want to be foam rolling over areas that are severely painful. So if you have, let's say, an injury to your quad, and you're rolling over your quad and you hit a spot where you go like, oh my God, that really hurts. Not just sore, not just achy, but a lot of pain, you don't want to do it over that area.
You know, when you guys are in the office, the ones that are patients, and we're pushing with our thumbs, with our elbows, and there's a really, really sore point, we have the ability to back off of that a little bit. Except on you, Grady. I just dig into you hard.
I got this on tape, so.
my
lawyer's sitting right over there.
So we have the ability to pull off on that a little bit. Whereas on a foam roller, if you're putting all your weight on it, you really don't have that ability. So that's why if you hit a point that's really sore, back off, but also work around that area and work other muscles, and you can always come back to that muscle, because that should, by loosening up the surrounding muscles, it'll break up that trigger point a little bit more, so then you can probably come back to that area and do it. And also, one of the things I don't know if Dr. Gill's going to say is, if you use wet heat first, it's even better. So if you do a hot bath or a hot shower, or use a hot water bottle before you foam roll.
That's the do's. We haven't
He's going on the don'ts. Go ahead.
We're still on the don'ts. So if you're new to foam rolling, here's what you don't want to have. You don't want to have these foam rollers that have, you know, all these little bumps
Truck tires.
and textures to them, because this may be a little bit rough on you at first. And you also don't want to have a foam roller that's too firm. So if you're new to this, you want to buy a nice soft foam roll that has some give to it, especially if you're very sore and very achy. And then as you start to develop and get comfortable with foam rolling, and as you get used to it, because it does take some practice, you're going to feel very weird and very awkward doing this the first few times, because there is a little bit of a balancing act that you're doing. You're getting used to how it feels to use a foam roller. But as you start to develop and get comfortable with it, then you can start moving to the firmer roll. Then you can start moving to the foam rollers that has the textures on it, because you're going to be able to get a little bit more deep with these types of rollers. So start.
Is the white one a soft one or a firm one?
That's a
The
fun
white one is actually a softer. It's like a medium foam
Okay.
roll. We have another one here that's
We have the ones that we're going to be using tonight, which
Tonight.
are they're about the same.
yeah. So there are ones that are even firmer than that.
Each take
Check it out. What you also don't want to do is roll over any bony joints. You don't want to roll over your knees. You don't want to really be rolling on your elbows. You don't really want to be rolling on the very bony parts of your lower back, because that can be a little uncomfortable. So here's what you do want to do. You want to stretch and heat and stretch before you start to foam roll, because you want to actually kind of relax the muscle a little bit. You did say that.
But you were premature.
Yeah.
Trouble with that?
Yeah. Let's not go there, Jay. That's for a different workshop.
So you want to stretch beforehand.
Your IT band.
Your IT band is a muscle that goes from your tensor fascia lata, which sounds like a coffee at Starbucks. It's a muscle that starts from the side of the hip and goes all
It's
the
a
way
thick
down.
band that when you push into it's really sore.
Really
So
sore.
right from your hip to the outside of your knee.
So,
So do not.
well, I'm going to show you a way to work it
You
without
can.
without irritating right where that
Okay.
bony hip bone is. So
Remember
that's
before we said how you got to watch for really tender trigger points? There's usually
That's
a
one.
lot of tender trigger points in the hip, in the
Okay.
TFL or the IT band.
Because
Okay.
doesn't that actually show it right on there?
Right. So I'm going to show you how not to do it, and that way is the correct way to do it. Okay? If you have a tender spot where it's painful, you want to work that out a little bit with your hands, or maybe with a little tennis ball, massaging around the very sore areas before you start rolling over them. That's a good way to help release some of those very tight nodules. And go slow. Take your time. You don't want to be foam rolling back and forth too quickly over muscles. This should be a very slow and deliberate movement, because what we're trying to do is stretch that fascia, stretch those muscles, improve blood flow in that area, and it's going to help with the healing process. So again, practice makes perfect. Take your time, get used to it, realize you're not going to be good at this the first few times you do it. It's going to feel awkward, it's going to feel weird. And then as you start to do it, you're going to become more accustomed to it. It's like riding a bike. You're wobbling the first few times you're actually riding by yourself, and then eventually you get good at it. So, you want to start demonstrating? Or I can
Sure.
demonstrate.
And also you want to make sure that this isn't just good for getting rid of trigger points or relaxing muscles. It's also a good, and we'll show you some things for posture, because we're big on posture here.
Yes.
So it's a great posture tool to help your upper back, your neck area. And also there's a lot of, if you advance past that, there's good exercises that you can do with a foam roller. Because again, it's almost like a Bocce ball. So you can do different balance and coordination exercises using that, doing planks on it, doing push-ups on it. Antonio, you'd be good at doing those kind of things, right? Because again, it helps to recruit other muscles that you normally wouldn't use when you're just doing a straight push-up or a straight, a plank. So there's lots of things you can do with this thing.
Right. So, I'm going to demonstrate starting from the ground up, very basic major muscle groups that we would be foam rolling. So initially, let's say I have a back problem, I wouldn't start with my back. I would actually start from the ground up, okay? So before you start foam rolling your back, you want to make sure that you're working all the muscle groups that attach to your back. So I always tell patients, start with your foundation. So we always start with from the ground up. So a very basic foam rolling technique you can do, especially for beginners, is just doing a leg at a time. Some people will be able to have more coordination, do both at a time, but if you're starting out, just start one body part at a time. And again, just very slowly and deliberately rolling back and forth over that muscle. If you find a spot that's a little tight or a little uncomfortable, just rest on it for about 3 seconds and then keep rolling back and forth. Also, you want to make sure that you're not going over the same muscle groups for too long. So you will do this for a minute or two, no more than that. Okay? If you're doing more than that, you're overworking the muscle. That can make you sore the next day.
if you're going to be working your lower back, you should always be working all the surrounding muscles. So you should, if you're doing your lower back, you should be doing your calves, you should be doing your hamstrings, you should be doing your quads, your anterior thighs, and you should be doing that IT band. Because all those muscles attach to your lower back. So like Dr. Gill said, if you start just doing your lower back and don't relax the surrounding muscles, you're really only doing half the job. So by doing the lower body muscles first, like Dr. Gill is demonstrating, now he's doing hamstring. And then you can see what he's doing. He's almost just using his arms to give momentum back and forth. So the hard thing for people at the beginning is to find that balance point, all right? Use two hands and just slowly move back and forth. And once you get good, you can roll right from your calves into your hamstrings, right into your glute muscles. But again, for now, just start one muscle area at a time. And we're going to demonstrate. You can try these out so you can see. I just want to show you what it feels like first.
So now, for your glutes, you can do this one of two ways. You're going to be sitting on the foam roller. Again, this balancing with my hands is what's going to take a little practice. Because you're going to be going, okay, where am I going here? I'm sliding off this thing. So it always helps to do foam rolling on a carpeted surface if you can, because if you're doing it on hardwood or tile, it's going to slide. Okay. So, or even if you don't have a carpeted surface, just put a towel down, a large towel, so that way it gives you some grip, so you're not slipping and sliding all over the place. But glutes, you can just go right over them, or go off to the side a little bit, or if you're feeling
Sciatic, that off to the side.
That's great. If you have sciatic pain, if anybody here ever have sciatic pain down the leg, shooting down the leg, all right? So you're working what's called the piriformis muscle, which goes right across the glutes, and that puts pressure on that sciatic nerve that goes right down through the middle of your buttock area. So by working that muscle, hamstring and piriformis muscle, you can really help the sciatic pain a lot. It's good for you.
Now, people who sit a lot, who spend a lot of time sitting, doing the quads is very important. Doing the hip flexors is very important. So this is one of my favorite areas to roll because it really gets deep into the hip flexors and into the quads in a way that it's really hard to massage any other way on your own.
Think about if you're sitting at a desk for 6 or 8 hours a day. You're sitting at your computer, right? What are your legs doing all that time? Nothing, right? Your quadricep attaches from your kneecap up to your hip, okay? In this position, you think it's extended or you think it's contracted? Okay? So now stay in that position for 6 or 8 hours. Now when you go get up, oh my God, you're pulling it, all right? So by doing this for 5 minutes at night when you come home from work, after you've been sitting, or if you've been sitting at a computer or watching Netflix, whatever the heck you're doing, if you do this, you're going to break that up, and now you're going to be able to stand much faster, much better. Your hips are going to open up, which is going to help the posture to your lower back.
All right.
You can't tell him anything because he'll tell it.
So with the IT band, here's what we don't want you to do. We don't want you to go and put the entire weight of your body on your IT band. That's going to be painful. I mean, even just laying here like this is a little sore, especially over that bony hip bone, the trochanter, the bony part of your hip. You don't want to put all your weight right on that. So what we ask you to do is kind of cross your leg over and kind of take some weight off of your leg that's on the roll with the leg that's on the floor, and also balancing with your hand. And again, this is where it takes some practice. You also want to make sure that anytime you're using your hands to balance, your hand is directly underneath your shoulder, so that you're not out here or over here or off to the side.
You have a shoulder problem after you're
Exactly.
lower back.
Exactly. So what we're going to be doing is just rolling back and forth over that IT band. And it's a little sore spot there, so I'm going to hold it. Just a few seconds, not long. You okay over there, Doc? And then we're going to go back and forth. And again, this is pretty sore. I mean, this is going to be probably one of the most sore muscles you're going to work on.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who's going to do the IT band not have it.
Not have trigger points.
Just because of what we do.
So again, leg straight, top leg helps to counteract the weight, hand directly underneath the shoulder. And again, this is where you can see me trying to find what's a good balance point and working that IT band.
You need good shoulders.
Good shoulders. So, now we get to the lower back. So we've worked.
Well, you want some people to try the legs
Yeah.
first? Why don't we do that?
That's an easy
So
one.
who would like to try?
Anyway,
Yeah, I'll try.
anyway.
Great, will try.
Great, you'll try it.
And people that want to try, that don't want to be here, you can go right in there and do
Okay,
it, and I'll,
so
and
you
I'm
have to
gonna
be
watch
on
you.
film?
So everybody can try it, just find a spot on the ground.
All right.
Not on film.
Not on film, right over here.
Wanna use this one?
There's one.
Hi Nell, how are you? Come visit.
We love now.
Okay, that's a different Nell. All right, so we're gonna try.
Down here.
Strong.
Good.
Come on, there's both hands. Under, right?
Now do one leg at a time.
One leg at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Roll you back and forth.
Let's go. Back.
Just like that.
Back and forth.
Come on in, guys. That's okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Yep.
Feel that.
See that?
Then just go over to the other one.
Then go over the other side.
You can do the outside, the inside.
Feel any points where you have
So just straight up like this?
a lot of
Yeah.
soreness or achiness? Just
You
move
feel-
that spot
you feel
for a few
supported there like
seconds.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you can actually now roll
Then I go
back
up.
up right into your
To
hamstring.
the hamstrings. How's that feel?
Perfect. Guys, you can come back.
Over here. Actually, you can do them both together, right?
You can, and I said, as you get comfortable with it, you're gonna be able to do that where you're doing a lot of. for
And if you
example,
hit any
put
point that's sore,
calves
how
together,
you doing?
put the hamstrings together, you can
You
do
fell
one.
off.
Now, what I'm interested in, because what hurts right now, bring this over, right? If I want to do it here. So you said,
How are you?
push this over.
Get in a full roll, you can practice, we're doing leg.
What are we doing? I don't wanna be
All right?
this.
Hey, you're doing both. Good. Michelle, try that.
So sciatic, you can do a little right on the butt. Here, let me switch
And
out,
now-
because it still has the flap.
Down. And now
Are you
just
trying
come
to-
up. Off.
No, you're not.
So sit right on it.
Sit right on.
Perfect.
Okay.
Bring your arms in a little bit more,
Okay.
There we go.
so that you're closer to the foam roller.
Oh, yeah, that feels good.
I don't know.
I've been sitting here all night.
I do that.
This is what you came here
I
for.
sat right in this chair yesterday.
I walk this way, I walk up, I walk back.
It's like the backward thing. That's what it looks
Let me see how, oh, you're going right for the tough one, aren't you, Dave?
Because that's.
You're going right for the tough one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can
You can.
Let your arm
Yeah.
get too far behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Bring them a little closer, there we go.
see, but my problem is, like this,
Yeah, it's nice.
between
He's
now
drinking
and
coffee,
now
too busy.
and
Okay.
All right, so now,
So if you bend, if you can't bend
you
this,
can do the
this
quad
knee,
once here.
very
you
well,
can't use it as an anchor.
to hold my weight.
Okay.
Right. That's what I'm,
This will be hard.
I mean, I can a
Yeah.
little.
You don't need a, you don't need a lot.
Go right on. You can go either on one or on both.
I'm
How low it is?
What you're doing right now is
That
fine.
one, and go elbows if
You can go over on your elbows. You can just kind of slide back and forth with your elbows.
Do it in stages. Do it
Okay,
there
just
a
do
little
like a
bit,
tiny little bit,
right?
and then.
And then reposition, and then reposition this.
And if you feel any sore or achy
Oh, you're
spots,
trying-
resting
okay.
on over there for a minute,
Yeah, do it again.
a few seconds, then keep moving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you don't have to get a whole, you don't have to be the entire length right away. Do it in thirds.
And when you
What you're doing
I'm
there.
not going down there now, somebody help me up.
say.
All right. Come on, somebody else be bold.
Trying to get you the sheets.
In general, we're saying, don't put too much pressure on it because it may be too soon.
But it's not.
Practicality, you can do it.
What'd you say?
It's not like you can.
No,
It's gonna hurt me is when I hit the ground.
No.
Tell them that'd be nice.
So we're doing lower extremity first.
Where's those?
Abs.
I'm 77.
And then it takes me a while to like slowly sit down. Do like a loop, don't necessarily, my problem is I was trying to roll, and I'm like, I can't balance, I fall. But he said, that's, you know, just roll with the left. You do like
So to learn more, or if you missed tonight, we're going to be having a,
this.
what do we call it, Friday,
Weekend warm up.
weekend warm-up with Dr. Mike on Friday. He's going to go over some of the things that we talked about today. So be sure to stay tuned for that on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page, and on our website. And if you have any questions, give us a call. Look forward to hearing from you guys.